Now gonna come back on. Hopefully, if I can get this to work. Hopefully. Hello again. Hello. So this is what happens when I attempt to be early, and the whole PC or the iMac decides to not work. So I do apologize. I can now access my IDE, which is brilliant because that means I can actually do the stream. It would be a bit pointless if it was just the terminal here. So if anybody watched beforehand, I had a bit of a freak out because the iMac locked up. My streaming machine here decided that it was too early in the morning to do anything, so it wasn't going to work. But now we're back. I've literally just restarted this machine, so I'm going to need to create, run my machine, my Docker machine, and start it all up again. So yes, apologies about that. I will just quickly do. After a technical hitch, we are back. Emoji face. Oh dear. So, come on, that's going to build that machine. Create that machine. Da, 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 da. Okay, that's cool. Let's evaluate that shell. And let's jump into that container. Yeah. Now let's do a Docker not a Docker PS. Let's do a vendor bin run. So this is going to run all of the tests. We have quite a few. Not as many as I would like, but still quite a few. And what have we got here? 126 tests, 245 assertions. They are all working, which is awesome. So as before, I mentioned what we're going to do today, just as a quick recap, because obviously the stream died a few minutes ago. So we are working through the second phase, if you will, of rebuilding the query builder. The query builder is, or was, all static. So if I did DB and then go into the query builder here, it was all public static functions. What I would like to do is make this more dynamic. We've created a query create class, which I will replace with the query builder once I'm happy with it, which is an actual class that you instantiate. You pass in a builder here, which is up there. That builder is pretty much like a container which contains various different types of things, so field collection and where collection so far. And the field collection deals with a lot of the mechanics that the previous query builder did, but in isolation. So the responsibility of the field collection is just the fields. The responsibility for the where collection is just everything for the where. This means that we can isolate and test these things individually, which we couldn't really do easily with this when it's all in the static world. So that's where we left off a few weeks back, and as I mentioned, I'm still trying to get my head back into the game, into this, because I haven't touched this in a few weeks. And that's a really good reason why you should have testing on your things, because when you go back to it, it's nice to go through the tests and sort of refresh the memory. I know that there is 126 points of stability in this application, 126 tests, which gives me a little bit of confidence from the off, which is good. So what would I like to do today? Well, if we take a look at some of the tests that we would like to replace, the previous tests, in the integration here, if we had a look at the status entity test here, there is a call called test find all statuses, a method here, test method. What we're doing is we're setting all of these statuses and we're saving these statuses. So this is actually saving it into the test database, and then we're calling manager find all. So this manager find all, if I open this up, this is going to go into the repository here, and it's going to run this query builder find all off of the back of the status table. So if I open this, this is going into our the world of the staticness. So this is find all. There should also be a find one, I think. If I open that up and go back into here, there should also be there's a save here. Is there anything else above it? There's a find one. So this is finding one by the ID. So if I was to open that, you do where is here. So if I could replace those two, that would be wonderful. If I can replace those two today, that'd be fantastic. So the find all and the find one. If I can test them, if I can replace them in the test sense before I actually go and retrofit them back into the code here, because obviously this is a broad-reaching change and we want to minimize the amount of risk that we put on. So okay, let's take a look at the where collection. The where collection, this is testing multiple where bits and pieces, so ID and total. This up here is testing a single one. So we're testing both adds, and I think below there is a test of a set, so this is testing more than one thing. That's fine. And we also had a query builder test, which is testing the select here, which tests the select call. So query builder and then select. Query builder is, I think query builder extends query create. So anything in query create we can run. So we've got the select and we've got the and where here. All right. So let's do a specific test on the status. So let's test. Let's create a test in here. And we can do it as a unit test, that's fine. Let's do status query builder test. All right. I'm just going to bring this down here and I'm going to just make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to read. Okay, so query builder test. Or status query builder test. We inject the builder, that's fine. And what we would like to do is we would like to test, select, let's do test, yeah, select all. All right, so this should, if we did select status, this should do select all from status. Let's remove those because we don't need those right now. Essentially what we're doing is we're going to try and mimic our find all clause. So this is a table name and we should get the expected select all from status. So let's do query builder status. Okay, let's run that. I'll see if I can copy that, see if PHP Storm will allow me to put that in. So let's do run the acceptance. Actually, no, it's not, is it? It's the unit. It's a unit test. -G because we want to use the group, and no, it's not allowing me to copy that. That's annoying. Nope. Come on, you. There we go. Okay, so that's passed, which is great, which means that we can now replace that status check. Let's try now and do one specifically on the primary key. So let's try and do a select by primary key or by ID. Let's just do by ID. So the ID is passing in the fields. So the fields is an array, and we're going to pass in ID, ID, and we're going to just set this to be 4. So this should be select all from status, although hang on a minute, this isn't right. No, this isn't right, because this is the fields in which we want to return. So no, that's not correct, is it? We need, if we did query builder, we need to have a where. So and where. So select status and where, and I believe we put in field and string. So the field would be the ID, the string, not the string, sorry, the value, because it's mixed, would be the value of the ID. So this should be select all from there, and we should have where ID is equal to 4. That's what we should have. Okay, what's going on here? Oh yeah, there's something wrong with the string. No problem. Okay, so that's what we should return if we run query builder get select. Okay, so let's grab that. I could just do select by ID. By ID. Okay, that's failed. The reason why that's failed is because we're using, yes, parameterized queries. So it's actually going to be that. That's what it's going to do. And yeah, that's passed. So that's brilliant. That's good. So I know that this is, I've already put some of this in place. I'm just trying to remember the code that I wrote a few weeks ago. Okay, so test select by ID. We've got the query builder here. One thing I should say is that this project that we're building, it doesn't have any frameworks apart from Codeception. Well, it's more of a library really. It's a PHP testing library which sits on top of PHP unit. But we don't have any frameworks. This is not Doctrine. This is not Propel. This is not any kind of active record. This is my code, which this is why I'm testing it so frequently, or trying to anyway. So select and then and where. All right, what's the next thing we can do or should do? If we go to the status, I'm going to go to the status repository. So we have a find one, that's pretty much covered now. We have a find all, that's pretty much covered. The next is the saving routines. So we have the internal name and the... So I think that is okay. I'm not going to worry too much about the inserts or updates at this stage of the game. I just want to make sure that all of these find sort of read mechanisms kind of work, because then I can kind of do the finds and the find alls and the find bys in one hit, and then go on and do the others, or the inserts and the updates and all the write queries. All right, so does this give me enough confidence to actually go in and start manipulating these repositories? Because you can see that there's like 4 repositories here. They all should follow a similar convention. So we got find all and stuff. I wonder. We have tests, I think, for these things. Let's take a look at the DB customer entity test. This is the one we're in. So we have get manager, that's fine. So we've got a find one, and we have a find one here. Do we have a find all? Yes, we have a find all. Okay, so I could hack up. Well, I say hack up. I could alter the customer repository to use the new query builder. Yeah. Okay. So a question occurs: do I want to still access the query builder in a static manner and call upon and instantiate? I don't think I want to do that. That's that's probably so. Yeah, that's probably not a good idea. So what I need to do is I need to inject the query builder into here somehow. Because ideally, don't worry about the save. Ideally, what I want to do is it's something similar to this. So I do query builder is equal to new query builder. Although that's going to complain. Why is that? Because that needs the builder. Oh dear. Okay, this might get a little bit complicated. But then essentially I want to do a select customer. And then I want to do a, well, I might be able to get away with having chained. Let's try that. Let's see if I can chain it. Yes, I can. Can I? And, oh, hang on. Let's get rid of that. So, and where, yes, I can. And where, well, this is running a find all, so it doesn't actually need to do any of that. So it is just a select. The find one, I think, which is this, is a little bit different. Let's do this, the find all first. I apologize, I am going backwards and forwards a little bit. Let's just make that a little bit bigger for people to see. So essentially I want to do this, but the issue here is that there is a dependency within Query Builder called Builder that I need to inject. So this is going to be a bit tricky. I don't think I can just inject it into the constructor. I don't think. Let's take a look at what connection's doing. No, that's got a string with a default on, so that's not gonna do anything, is it? I mean, if I did, let's just see. If I did, first of all, I'll tell you what. First of all, let's just isolate our tests for this to go through. I'm just going to put that in my clipboard, bring this back to what it was. Whoops. And I'm just going to find those tests that I can run in isolation. So we were in DB customer entity test. So if I run DB customer, we should run all of those tests. So let's do DB. And of course, this is an integration test, not a unit test. So I need to change the suite. Integration. Okay, so that's running 3 tests. Can I reduce that even further? Let's focus on the let's find by ID, set name, find all, test all. There we go. That's what I want to do. Oops. Okay, so this is running 1 test, and it's focusing on this here, and this here is an integration test, and this is the thing that will break. So it will save those customers nice and happily, because we're not dealing with the inserts or the updates yet. I'm just wanting to play around with the find all. So it'll get to this point, and then it'll crash if I manipulate the customer repository. Okay, so did I put that in my clipboard? No, I put that in my clipboard. Anyway, we'll just come up with query. So this is, and then the sequel to this would be SQL is equal to this, oh, not this, sorry, query builder get SQL. So that should replace this thing up here. My question is, how do I go about injecting this into the actual class? Now, I guess I could do that, but it has itself a dependency, and I can't remember for the life of me how this is all connected and wired up. I'm sure a test will fail. I don't think it does any form of auto wiring or anything crazy like that, which is a shame. Whoops. Da, 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 da. All right. And obviously change that parameter to be query builder. Now, I don't like this. So this probably won't be how it ends up if this actually works. I don't like this at all. I'm just going to comment that line out and then do this query builder, and then this query builder. One could argue that perhaps the repositories should themselves extend the query builder or something. I don't know. Maybe not. Let's run this and see. This will probably break. But essentially, we've done pretty much the same. Nope, it fails. And it fails because, here we go, too few arguments are passed into the constructor, and this goes into, and this is failing. This is failing because if I go to the test itself, which is here, what we're doing is we're instantiating the manager, and we should be instantiating a query builder and passing it in there, which is really, really, really nasty, because this means that, we're having to instantiate 3 or 4 things in order to get this test to run, which is not good. I should be mocking these things, but mocks, I'm not a big fan of mocks. I try not to use them as much as I can. Sometimes you can't avoid mocks in tests. This is also the integration, right? This is also an integration test. It's not a unit test. So we're testing the integration of things, not a specific unit. So to get this to work, I would do something along the lines of, query builder is equal to new query builder, and let's just make that a little bit cleaner. And I would do something like builder is equal to new builder, and passing a builder into here, and then passing the query builder into there. Whoops. Which isn't nice, and there is also all of these collections that are missing as well. Wonderful. So there's a bit of an architecture code smell going on here. Oh dear. Yeah, there's a bit of a code smell. It would be so nice to get the auto wiring. Because All right, let's just build this into this massive, humongous thing. So we have a where collection is equal to new where collection, and then we have field collection is equal to new field collection. So this is crying out for some sort of remodeling. I think what we do is we pass in the where collection first. So maybe I need to take 5 and we'll get this test to work, and then we'll and then what we'll do is we will take a look and see if I could tidy up this mess somehow. Okay, so that test works, which is awesome. Right, so this is nuts, isn't it? Okay. Wow. Okay, so in order to get to get a customer manager, we need to instantiate all of these things. That's ginormous. Okay, so the first thing I want to attack is it's probably going to be these collections, right? They're probably there's probably some commonality between those two. That could probably go into an interface. This is a collection. This class is a collection. It's like a container for these two things, and I think I could probably reduce this quite a bit. I could probably put these in as perhaps singletons, right? Because you don't need to instantiate where collections again and again and again. There's no need. There's no need for that. So I could probably reduce that, which means that this doesn't need to be an actual class. This could actually just be an array where we have the first instance of the first value in that array is a where collection, and the next one is a field collection. So this is more of a factory. So you're asking for a factory of various things. All right, so it needs a bit of re-architecting. It needs a bit of re-architecting and a little bit of jiggery poke, I think. But I'm happy that we've got the test actually passing. That's good. I'm just gonna take a little look before I delve into actually breaking up the repositories anymore. I'm gonna take a stance and take a look and see if I can actually refactor some of this logic out, because okay, so we do have a collection interface. All right, so we have set and we've got get SQL. Why don't we have an add? If we go to the field collection, I'm sure we have an add. We do. And this is returning field collection, but it could just return a collection interface. On where we have an add, and that could just return a collection interface as well. I don't think there's any need to return a where collection. On the builder itself, this is just basically pointless. I mean, it's just a container of things, which could be replaced as an array holding these, ideally these singletons. Yeah. Okay, so let's think. Ideally, I want to test this, right? Ideally, I want to write a test to back this up, this alteration, this change. Let's see. It should be a unit test. We don't seem to have any unit tests on the actual builder at all. So let's deal with that. So let's instantiate a new query builder. So we do new query builder passing in builder. So we are testing it in some loose manner. Right. Oh, I've just had a look. The stream seems to be cutting out in and out. So I hope that's okay. I hope everybody can see and hear this all right. I'm going to just copy this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new test and just test the connections between the objects. So we're going to do test structure. And so we're going to instantiate a new query builder. I'm not going to pass in the builder. The builder should be dealt with. So I should be able to do query select. This is going to be a little bit tricky, isn't it? Because essentially what I'm doing here is I'm saying this builder fields and in builder maybe this needs to be a factory. I'm thinking. Yeah. All right, let's tell you what, let's remove this. Let's not test the structure at this point. Let's test the builder. That's what we should be doing. That's what we should be doing. We should be testing the builder. So let's get rid of all of this stuff that we don't need. We've already tested before. All the way to the bottom, delete all of that. Awesome. So what I would like to do is we're going to inject the builder into here, which means that I can now play with that. I want to make sure that if we did this builder, I want to pull out various parts of the builder. So at the moment, the builder has a where and fields. But really what I would like to do is do a little bit more than just that. That should be builder. I can't see it. So this should have a make. If it's a factory, it should have a make. And the factory needs to have a type. So let's do, it's going to be where. And there's also going to be another one. I'm just sort of like putting in some pseudocode. There's a where and there's also a fields. And this will return an instance of where and an instance of fields if one isn't available. Yeah, I think. So let's go back to the builder. I'm just making this up as I go along. So let's put in a make. So we're passing in a string, which is a type. And this type is going to return a collect, because we've got an interface. This is going to return a collection interface. Is that right? Have I called it collection interface? Collection interface, yeah. Really, I should call this collection query interface, because a collection interface means something slightly different in other things. And then what I would like to do is I would like to have a private collections, which is an array. Before I get ahead of myself, let's just go into the DB, the builder test here. Let's just fill out this test. So this should be where, this should be, and we'll just focus on the one first. So let's do test where. Test where, and this should assert. Why does this not? Instance of. And if we remove this part here, we have the expected, which is the where collection class. And there we go. So this is making sure that when we make the where collection, we return the where collection. And then likewise, I can do the same for the fields. Okay, so we go into the builder again. We have collections, and what we want to do is we want to do if. So the type, that's really a class name, to be honest, isn't it? If and do we do it by? Yeah, I guess we do. I guess we do have it by keyed by the class name. So we could do if is set or we could loop through it. We could loop through it for each collections. For each this collections. As collection. If collection is an instance of class name, then return collection break. I'm just making this up as I go. We could have found collection in here. This is probably not the way I should go, but found is equal to false. That's just going to suddenly return it, isn't it? That's not good, is it? And then, again, just making this up. If found is not an instance of, and we can do collection interface, then we do something like this collections is equal to a new class name. The idea being that this make in this factory is going to loop over the known collections and then check the collection against the class name that we supply. If it's found, then we break off, and we equal that to found, so that this could be null. If found is an instance of collection interface, if found isn't a collection of interface, I should say, then what we do is we instantiate a new collection based upon the collection that we've put through. So I probably need to put a check in there to make sure that that one is an actual class. And then what we do is we return we return found. So, oops. So I need to do found is equal to new class name. Whoa. Now I very much doubt this is going to work straight away. Because I'm just hacking up I'm just hacking it up. But we can isolate this by going to the builder test, and we can run this where clause, and we can check whether the where clause is there. This now means that the class name needs to be the actual class name, so where class. Yeah, I'm going to just drink a bit of tea before I run this, because this is quite a big change. And this is a unit test. And that's worked. So we do have an instance of where collection when we return it. Now the beauty of doing it like a make in this instance is that we're not instantiating a new one every time, every single time. It also means that we don't have to inject it into here, into these things. So that's a win. And it also means that it's more pluginable in the sense that we can create more collections if we want to. Yeah. So if that's, we do need to put some checks around this, and we are dealing with multiple responsibilities here. So we're going to have to tidy this up as well. This needs to be refactored a bit, actually quite a bit, to be honest, because we need to check whether the class actually exists before we try and instantiate it. Otherwise, we'll get an error. But it does mean now that I should be able to do. I'm so sort of surprised that worked first time, because it's only 8:17 in the morning and I've only had one cup of tea. So we can do a test of finding the field collection. So this is test fields. So this is going to be field collection. And that's worked too, as expected, which is good. Okay, so now that means that I can decouple on the builder. I can remove this, and now doing so is going to carve a big hole in the application. We've isolated the customer test, right? So that's have we? Let's have a look. I'm sure we have. Yeah, the find all. So what I could do is let's just play with the customer test first, where we're playing around with all of this stuff. What I'm going to do is the first thing I really do need to do is go back to the builder though. and remove. I mean, what you could do, actually, thinking about it, is we could do where we've got the where and where we've got the fields. This might actually make it a little bit easier to sort of retrofit. Actually, yeah, I've got a great idea. I think anyway. Well, if it is a great idea, that's probably going to be the only one today. But what I'm going to do is like here, I could do this. This make, yeah, where? This make where collection class. And then this is going to be this make field collection. Now this is probably going to break PHP store. PHP Stan is going to not like this at all because of the return values are expected. We're returning a collection interface rather than a where collection. So there's a little bit umming and ahhing. I tell you what, as I've made that change, that quite huge change, let's test everything. That's a good idea. Let's start and test everything, because if this works, then there is no need anymore to inject these in. Ah, no, it's failing. It's failing. But I think they're failing on... I think it's failing because the too few arguments are put into the customer repository construct. That's why, which is okay. I think what I could do is I could get rid of this constructor now, get rid of these things, save, and then run this. So they're still going to fail, but I think I should be able to now go through and tidy up all of the constructors. So too few arguments to function customer repository, and that's been passed in DB customer entity sest. That's what we were playing with just a second ago, I believe. DB customer entity sest. Oh, hang on a minute, that's test. Customer entity sest. Here we go. Yeah, because the query builder is missing. Okay. So I guess if we did, and are we going to fail on that one too? Yeah. Yeah, okay. But if they're the only two things that are broken, then that's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that. So let's do, I mean, and these are only broken because of as a sort of a byproduct of what we're playing with. We still have to get around the fact that we do need to inject the query builder into here. But it's the way the query builder now doesn't have its own constructor. All right, so I'll fix those tests in just a second. What I can do on the original customer test is I can fiddle with all of this because method 2 uses 2 parameters, but method signature only has 0, so there's no need for the builder anymore. So that can go. Well, these two can go. There's no need for that. There's no need for this. Is there any need for the builder itself? So the query builder passes in the builder. Is there any need for that? I don't think there is. I don't think there's any need for this, the builder. I think we could get around that. So let's take a look. So this is, whoops. Here, query create. This is what we're playing with. We're passing that in as the builder. We could do very much the same thing. We could say if there isn't a builder, then just instantiate the builder from within the class. We could get around that. We could pass in, we could do it as a setter if we wanted to, or we could take a look at the builder and go, well, why don't we just use this as the base class? Unfortunately, if we did that, then we would be exposing the make methods, and I don't want to be doing that at all. So we won't do that. Let's see, how do we get around this? They are technically two different responsibilities. This is creating a series of helpers, I guess you could call it, to build the query. So maybe we do need the builder in here. I think I might leave it as is for now. Yeah, okay, so this one, let's take a look at this. This has failed here. The customer repository, it has 49 and 2 are expected. DB customer, this is a SES, isn't it? DB customer entity SES. So repo, this needs to have a new, this needs to have the query builder. That's what it needs to have. So this would be query builder. And query builder would be like this, and we would be saying new query builder, and we would pass in a new builder. Like that. Still a lot of classes to instantiate to get this to run. Am I going around about this the wrong way? We've removed 2 classes, the where and the fields. But, I mean, these are all isolated cases, right? These are all separate classes, but they all require each other in doing this. We're returning the manager. So let's, I tell you what, let's just put these in a method here, public function get manager. And this is going to return the manager. So we're just going to do return new manager. Oops. Which means that we can get rid of this lot and do this get manager save. And the same thing with that test as well. That needs to be saved entity. This needs to be this get manager. Okay, let's run those tests. Okay, so they're all working as expected, which is good. I'm still on the fence as to the way these classes are all hanging together. There's quite a lot in here, and I'm unsure. Their connections. But, you know, hey, I'm playing with acceptance tests. I'm playing with integration tests. I'm not playing with unit tests where we're testing one single thing in isolation, and then hoping to mock everything else out so we can isolate a single class. But there's still something in the back of my mind that's thinking that this is a bit iffy, a little bit fishy. The best thing, though, is that we've managed to actually replace where is it? Save. There was a save routine here. So this is now how we're actually handling it, which is fantastic. See, I'm not sure whether the query builder needs to be injected on every repository. It just seems a little bit heavy-handed. You know, if there was some sort of mechanism where we could do this get query builder or something, and then do select, you know? And why is the connection is in here all the time? I mean, the query builder kind of goes hand in hand, I guess. In some sort of, you could even put that into a factory as well. So you can say, get me the connection. If the connection doesn't exist, get me a new one. Is that what we're doing here? Anyway, we've got the constructor, and we have open, and we are creating. Yeah, we're creating a self connection. Yeah, I'll need to think about that. I think I'll need to think about that. I guess what I could do, though, at this stage is I could start taking a look at these different repositories and make them wire up like this one. Where's the find all? Here we go. So that's what I could do. Where did that thing go? Save, find. Yeah. So I could do something similar to this in the other repos. This is doing a select, then it's doing a fetch all off of the statement. Really, this needs to be tidied up too, because this is happening in all of the repositories, right? This is actually quite a big thing, and it doesn't need to do that. We could just have a single find all passing in the table name. That's the only thing that changes. Really, so we could even refactor this to a degree. The thing is, now I'm in the opinion that the only thing I'm actually going to change is just copying those two lines into each one of these things, and it just seems a little bit pointless. There's lots of this code that I can actually start refactoring out. This is what happens, you see, when you look at code that you've written a long time ago, and you're looking at it with fresh eyes, and you're thinking there's other ways we can change and make this a little bit more efficient and better. So now I'm actually thinking that we have instead of a customer repository, an invoice item repository, and so on and so forth, we have a generic repository that has these find all things that these customer repositories have, and then we can overload them if we need to. The tricky part would be the hydrators, because the hydrators are obviously unique to the find alls. Well, they're unique to the classes, so I need to think about that somehow. Do these extend? These do extend. These extend an abstract repository, which have these abstract classes in. Okay. Sorry, abstract methods in. We could tidy up a lot of this. So what I'm thinking is, perhaps instead of having an abstract method of find all, we have we fill out the find all, and we just pass in a string, which is the table name. Then we return the amount of rows, and then it's up to the manager to deal with the customer hydrator, because I believe the managers, if I remember rightly, the managers just are like facades. They go find all, there you go, done. So maybe it's up to the managers to deal with the management of the records that are returned. That, in my head, sounds a little bit more comfortable. So let's see if I can play around with this a little bit. Let's copy this and go into the abstract repository here. Let's comment that out for a second. Let's do a public function find all. Let's put that in, and we want to return rows, and rows is going to be off of the back of fetch all. So we're going to return. Now this is going to complain because we have the query builder that isn't found, which means that we're going to need to put the query builder at the above. So let's copy that. So I'm really breaking things now. So with this, we grab here, bung that up there. Let's just remove that. And then in the customer repo, oops, we don't need a second query builder. That's pointless. Okay, because this means now that we can return an array like that, and we can pass in a string, which is the table name. That is the only thing, right? That's the only thing that so in the customer repository, so we don't need this, and we don't need that, because that's already handled in the abstract repo. Although, notice I've broken a lot of stuff. The abstract, let's change this to be protected, because these need those just for backwards compatibility. Okay, so let's think. We've dealt with this. It's just this needs to change. So that needs to be handled in the manager. So if I go to the customer manager here, this is going to get the rows, which equals this, and then we're going to do if is array rows, then for each, and then what we can do is return the results. This is then an array of results, so we pass that in as a blank array. And then we have the customer hydrator, and we hydrate that. Okay, so now in the customer repository, we don't need this at all. This is just has the ability to overload. Now I've gone and completely and utterly broken everything. If I run the tests, a lot of things are going to break because I'm now forcing the fact that we require query builder in everything, which is not great. If I run the test, let's see how much damage I've caused. Yeah, boom. We can't even run the tests. Connection must be protected. Access to invoice repository connection. Connection is... Oh, is it because it's an abstract class? Nope. Hang on. Invoice repository on line 103. Aha. Okay. Okay. I mean, we shouldn't be instantiating. You can't instantiate abstract classes anyway. So I'm probably going to have to change. So this is me having to now run all that. Okay, 3 broken, 2 broken, 1 broken, 3, 4, lots broken. Okay, we have 16 errors. 16 errors because I made that little change. Most of them are basically, there's too few arguments because I've now forced the fact that we have the query builder being instantiated in here, or being, injected into there. Oh, yeah, sorry, and this, of course, needs to be the table name. Does that do anything? We had 16 errors before. No, we got 15 now. All right, so that's something, I guess. Okay, where do I start? Too few arguments in abstract repository constructor, 1 passed in DB status entity. Oh, even the tests are broken. Looking at the time, it's 8:43. I think I'm going to have to park this because I need to get on and do some other bits and pieces today. But I think what I'm going to do is probably revert those changes, I think, because I don't want to leave this in a broken state. Let's see if I can get my local history. Okay, so it was DB customer test, build a test. I'm just having a look at the changes I've made. Or maybe I should leave them. Maybe this is the way I should go. It feels better in my head because we've created this method here which handles the find all, which is going to be handle all of the find alls, and that to me feels more comfortable. It's broken an enormous amount of stuff. I'm not gonna. It's just frustrating that I don't have time to fix it. I mean, they don't look like they're massive problems. They're just like, I'm not wiring up. This is a wiring issue, and they're all the same. So, well, that one was anyway. This is now an array. Yeah, so I think I might just park this and do this tomorrow morning because I do need to crack on and get on with some bits. I'm going to be streaming tomorrow morning at 7:30 British Summer Time, which is the same time I started today. Hopefully, I won't be able to. I won't need to stop and start the stream as I did before because my computer crashed. And then on Thursday, I'm traveling, so I'm not going to be streaming on Thursday. So it'll be just today and tomorrow, and then on Sunday, the usual 14:30 stream at 2:30 in the afternoon. If I've got time to do that, do follow me on How to Code Well on Twitter, because I'll make that announcement then. I'm off to PHP South Wales on Thursday. This is why I'm not going to be streaming, and I'm speaking there. I'm going to do a talk called "Put Your Docker Image on a Diet." So if I don't see you tomorrow, hopefully I'll see you there. But yeah, apologies for leaving this in a broken state, but I need to get on with some other bits and pieces. I am a freelancer, so I do need to crack on with some freelance work. So thank you all for watching. Happy coding, everyone. I'll see you again soon. Cheers.